The show must go on. Good day, everyone. Hope you're doing well. I'm gonna miss out on some Euro matches. Unfortunately, we have to do content. We've been slacking off. Unfortunately, the works on my rooftop are still ongoing. Therefore, I don't have that much time to stream. Hopefully, it's going to be resolved in a week or so. So I'm gonna have more time to stream once again. Next week I'm gonna stream a bit once again. Although I'm gonna be streaming only for like an hour or two. Right, let me check something. Sorry about that. Right, we can go. So, obligate reminder. Watch channel, YouTube channel. You can see we have some banger going on. Definitely, it's not because of the thumbnail. So, it is a very good click-through rate. It has like almost 6%, which is very good. And somebody subbed from that video, so I'm very happy. After 17 or so days, we finally got a new sub. Yippee! No, I'm very happy. Thank you for subbing. And maybe you're gonna watch one of my streams eventually. Who knows? So, with that out of the way, oh yeah, we also released, before I move on, released a new video about Trump. Trump proclaims Republican Party is united and ready to destroy the Democrats. Meanwhile, Republicans' U.S. House blocks an attempt to remove the House Speaker Mike Johnson, which was, I believe, started by the House Republicans. We got a notification. Okay, that's nothing. And we can move on. So first up, we got the article about NATO. As you know, there's a sort of an election going on for the, I believe it is NATO secretary. And it seems we are gonna get the new NATO secretary. It seems it's going to be the former Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte. I'm gonna have something to say about it. I'm not particularly happy with the choice. And I'm gonna tell you why. But before that, we're gonna read the article. Some of that. And then there was one. Mark Rutte, Romania's president, withdraws from the race for NATO chief. Okay, that's the Romanian president exits a voting poll correction, blah blah blah. Brussels. Romania's president has withdrawn from the race to become NATO's next Secretary General, leaving outgoing Dutch Prime Minister Mark Rutte all but certain to head the world's biggest military organization from October. The office of President Klaus Iohannis said in a statement that Romania's Security Council has backed Rutte's bid. It's also said that Iohannis has informed NATO last week what he intended to pull out. That he intended to pull out, not what he intended to pull out. No, that would have been a bit strange. Okay, I'm gonna get to it real quick. His withdrawal removes the last hurdle Rutte might face. It should allow NATO to put on a show of unity, I press X, and demonstrate solidarity with war-ravaged Ukraine when US President Joe Biden and his counterparts meet in Washington on July 9th to July 11th to mark NATO's 75th birthday. Rutte's appointment could be sealed by meeting of NATO ambassadors in coming days or by the leaders when they meet in Washington. He would officially start work on October the 1st. Don't miss a single military.com story to read the full article and get exclusive benefits. Sign up today, it's free. How about no? No. Fuck you. So, Do I want to bother myself searching it up from another site? I'm gonna search it up real quick. Maybe we'll be lucky. NATO ground news, yes. Come on. Yes. Okay. Come on, there must be something. NBC News, maybe. Al Jazeera. Let's go with CNN. What they scummy practice. Oh yeah, sign up. It's free. Oh yeah, it's definitely free. Definitely do not give out your, private information, which you do every minute you are on the internet. But hey, oh yeah, make an account on like a 100 plus sites. That's definitely not a, security risk. This is so stupid. I hate it. Yeah, it's free. Fuck off. CNN, yes. Okay, let's continue then. The term of the current Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg runs out on October 1st. Rutte will inherit a NATO that is racing to bolster its own security while also supporting Ukraine's defense against Russia's invasion. The alliance is walking on a tightrope of rearming and increasing military spending while avoiding provoking Moscow and escalating what is already the deadliest war on European soil in decades. While Rutte has been a staunch ally of Ukraine since the start of the war, critics have pointed out that during his time as a Dutch leader, the Netherlands' defense budget was often below the 2% of GDP target that NATO members are expected to spend. The sources also say Rutte has been on a political journey, noting that in 2014 he attended the Winter Olympics in Russian ski resort of Sochi with the Dutch king and queen while the Russian tanks rolled into Crimea. However, with European politics likely to be unstable for the next 5 years and the prospect of a second Donald Trump term in the United States, Rutte, a moderate liberal, is thought to be in a good position to shepherd the 32-member alliance to what will be a difficult period now. I persevere doubt. A politician as a military secretary or a military chief of NATO. Why? No, Richard, why? Why do you put a politician on a position of a military alliance? What business does a politician have in NATO? Explain. Yeah, thought so. Why don't you put an experienced general? Like NATO has many of generals, like you from different countries. You could just put one of there, and they would understand their job much more better than this idiot. You put it in there only because fucking politics. Yes, because of the politics. But like politicians have no business to being in NATO. That's the truth. Like put somebody competent there, somebody who actually works with military, and not some random B Netherlands politician. Oh yeah, he was prime minister. Now his party has like 13% in preferences or so. He has won 5 from the gays. And that's a funny thing about it. On that position of NATO chief, you could see there are a lot of very peculiar people going there. Obviously, it's Mark Rutte now. However, sometime before, there were speculations that Boris Johnson would become a NATO secretary or NATO chief. Yes, that Boris Johnson, that complete failure of a prime minister, that complete disgrace. No wonder so many NATO nations aren't shit if they think putting politicians on such places is a good idea. Seriously. Like, tell me, what exactly are politicians gonna do in NATO? Like, tell me now. Like, what qualification does he have to lead to de facto lead the military alliance? Yeah, thought so. Rutte must also oversee NATO's radical upgrade in defense and security capabilities. This will mean encouraging members to spend more money on defense and cooperating more closely on weapons procurement and plans for troop deployment. So, we will also have to navigate the results of the next US election. NATO allies are aware that Trump has historically criticized NATO for not spending enough money on their own security and relying on America, while few believe Trump would withdraw from the alliance or intentionally undermine European security. His bombastic approach to diplomacy could allow belligerent nations to view NATO as being weak and vulnerable. Yeah, being weak. They literally have a nation with almost like 7,000 nuclear bombs in it. Yeah, definitely weak. Good joke, bro. And no, he's not going to pull out of NATO. Like, his special services will not allow it. Like, you think the United States president is almighty? No. Its special services influence a lot of his or her policies, especially about stuff like NATO and military stuff. And whether he would not protect Europe, I mean, the 5th article of NATO, like he has to. If he's not going to, then like he's going to get coup d'etat. Like, I'm pretty sure of it. I'm pretty sure like he would get coup d'etat, or the United States would enter his civil war. Because I mean, there's a lot of Americans who will and want to protect the Europe, and they would not just stand idle by watching us, die in the trenches against the Russians. If that would ever happen, which I think it won't, and I hope it won't. Sweden and Finland have both joined NATO since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine, a poke in the eye for Russian President Vladimir Putin. While Rutte may not see further expansion during his time in charge of the alliance, any increase in NATO's operations or capabilities will be seen as provocation in Moscow. And what are they gonna do about it? No, there's nothing more. Oh yeah, a pretty short article. But yeah, Mark Rutte as a secretary or whatever, yeah, NATO's next secretary general, they actually rated him. Mark Rutte as a next secretary general, I do not approve of it. I don't understand why would they install a politician there, and especially an unpopular politician. I saw his preferences with the Dutch people. He had like 65% disapproval or something like that. He's not a popular politician, so like he's not even a military guy as far as I know. Maybe he has some history in the military. Maybe you can Google it. However, I'm too lazy to do that. So yeah, like if this was a charismatic, popular politician, then sure, I understand he can bring many of the nations together, especially the people in the nations. Because I mean, if you're popular in your own country, then it is very likely that you're going to be popular with other countries as well. So yeah, I mean, I do not understand why he. But then again, it could have been Boris Johnson, which would have been infinitely worse. Like, I wouldn't understand a lot of people who actually want to leave NATO. Because I mean, if Boris Johnson would have gotten it, then I would be pissed off as hell. That clown does not deserve any political position after his debacle in the UK. Should be lost to the annals of history forever. So moving on. Biden leads them by single digits in New York poll. That is not good. That is not good for Biden. New York and California are traditionally very left-leaning states. And in both states, the Democrats usually beats the Republicans by 10 plus percent. In California, it's probably even 20 plus percent. So for Biden to only lead by single digits is not a good sign at all. It is very worrying. So, President Biden is leading former President Trump by single digits in a head-to-head matchup in New York, according to a poll released Thursday. I might actually Google the poll for you if I do not forget about it. Not now in the video, if it makes a video. A Siena College poll of New York registered voters found Biden leading Trump by 8 points, 47% to 39%. That's not a lot. Which would mean, let's see, 86% are undecided or would vote or consider Kennedy. Interesting. 6% said they didn't know how they would vote or refused to answer, while another 5% said they plan to vote for another candidate. Oh, so it's only 5%. Okay, that it's not really that big. And 4% said they would not vote. I see. A similar poll conducted in May showed Biden leading Trump by 9 points and one in April showing him leading by 10 points. That's not a much. Although if they count in the people who say they would not vote, or people who say they don't know how they vote, then that's kinda not accurate at all, because this has influence on this percentage as well. I mean, in real time, it would be probably still him above 50% and them somewhere around 45% maybe. Well, no, 43 to 42% and him like 50% or so. Biden's favorability rating fell 3 points in the poll since May, from 45% to 42%, while his unfavorability rating grew from 50% to 53%. Yes. I used to check out this one site called, I think it was 538, where they always updated his approval ratings. Yeah, it's been in like above 50 for a long while now. For majority of its presidency, people do not like him. Well, they most do not like that they have an 81 years old president. Trump also has what's this sentence? Trump also has seen his favorability rating slide downward in Siena's polling from 39% in May to 37%. His unfavorability rating rose from 56% to 59%. Okay, then he's not been in New York. Like, I don't think he can sway the opinion. Like, obviously he cannot be in New York. That's impossible at this point. Like, the Democrats would have to make a gigantic blunder. So yeah, while Biden maintains While Biden maintains the support of 3/4 of Democrats, Trump has support from 85% of Republicans and leads Biden 45 to 28% with independents, Siena College pollster Stephen Greenberg said in a press release. A gender gap has reopened as men support Trump 46 to 42% and women favor Biden 51 to 33%. That's a very wide range actually. I would expect the number to be higher actually even. White voters are evenly divided, and while Biden has commanding lead, with non-white voters, Trump garners support from 29% of black and 26% of Latino voters. I would actually expect his Latino voters to be higher up, considering like he won the Florida with relative ease the last election, and he has been gathering support from Latinos, so this is definitely that bit of surprise actually. Other recent polling has shown Biden underperforming in the Empire State. An Emerson College polling, The Hill PIX 11 survey released last month, showed Biden holding a mere 7-point lead over Trump at 48% to 41%. The poll showing for Biden is notable given New York has been a reliable blue bastion during presidential cycles, but the polling underscores how the president is even having trouble showing up his base in Democratic-leaning states. Well, a lot of people are disillusioned with the American politics, and they have the right to be disillusioned. They are realizing just how much stupid is their government. They realize they are ruled by incompetent idiots. Yes, I know. The Americans can be slow sometimes. But hey, they are realizing that their country is run by complete fools who cannot solve any problem. The Siena College poll was conducted between June 12 to June 17, with 805 New York registered voters surveyed. The margin of error is plus or minus 4.1 percentage points. 805 voters is low. I would at least want at least like 8,000, 8 to 12,000 to make a little bit more reliable poll, but hey, it is what it is. So yes, this is not good for Biden campaign. This is not good at all. I mean, if they are having, they are not having a struggle in New York, right? They still have a confident lead. However, it is not good for the swing states, because if you have relative trouble in New York, then the swing states are going to be a hell. And it's going to be very stressful night for those who will be counting the votes after the election. Because if the last elections were incredibly controversial, then these ones are going to top it even more. And I am definitely looking forward to watch how those elections unfold. Like, there's always a slight chance something is going to go wrong. I hope it doesn't, and I hope these elections will be held in order and nothing bad will happen. So yeah, moving on, it's definitely going to be an interesting November for the Americans and for the world actually. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world, as well as the US. You got the world debt. The stock market is quite overbought as well. So it's going to be definitely some interesting months ahead. Moving on. We got an article about the Putin's visit to North Korea. And I'm actually gonna look it up. I'm gonna look up the Putin with Kim Jong-un in the taxi, because I just want to see it. I just want to play it to you. Fuck. Wait, I actually have it liked. Yeah, I have it liked on Twitter. Okay. Let's see. Likes, yes. Okay, base, I have it here. So I'm gonna put it here. Okay. The new season of Top Gear is insane indeed. Oh yeah, so these two have met. And yeah, we've seen some videos. We've even seen the waving goodbye video. I'm gonna maybe find it for you. But I mean, Oh yeah, I'm gonna find it for you right now because I'm that good of a guy. No, North Korea. Let's see. Come on. Okay. Oh yeah, here we go. Alright. We are back and I'm gonna play this video. You won't hear anything on the video if this makes a video, because I always mute the browser for copyright reasons. I don't want to deal with that nonsense. So apologies for that, but you can watch it yourself. So yeah, we're just gonna watch this real quick. Yes, we have Vladimir Putin waving, Kim Jong-un waving. I don't know, it's just very funny, just how they're waving. Like, when was the last time you were waving like that on your friend or your family or like that? And they still keep waving. They still keep waving. And they are still waving. The legend says they are waving even today. So yummy. Putin was there to sign some deals. I believe some bilateral agreement as well. That, considering how magnanimous was his visit there, one would assume they're going to give, the Russians are going to give North Koreans some modern military equipment, maybe even some nuclear arsenal. Or they will probably give them technology to build a nuclear weapons. Possible. It's very possible. Okay, I'm not going to. Okay, I'm not going to go into comments. We are not in Twitter Bazaar yet. I don't have anything for this, but I'm gonna put this here in the Twitter Bazaar in case it actually does not make it into the video. So we're gonna have at least one. So we can go back. There we go. Russia-North Korea pact could dent China's influence, but Beijing still holds sway over both. Yes, this is also a theory that the Russians are making friends with North Korea and they are supporting them this way to actually lower the Chinese influence, because China is definitely supplying the Russia with a lot of funds in exchange for the resources and is probably supplying them with weapons and ammunition secretly. So the Russians want to make some bilateral agreement with other countries to reduce the Chinese influence, because obviously if this would keep up, the Russians could end up as a Chinese puppet state, which is something nobody wants. If China would gain a full control over Russia, they would gain control over like 6 or 7,000 of nuclear warheads, and that's, yeah, the world does not want that, especially if the Chinese are actually preparing to retake Taiwan, as some rumors say. Of course, those are unconfirmed rumors, and hopefully the Chinese will never invade the island, because that would very likely lead to World War III, which is something none of you should want. So let's read it. We got Beijing AP. With no obvious options, China appears to be keeping its distance as Russia and North Korea move closer to each other with a new defense pact that could tell the balance of power among the three authoritarian states. Experts says China's leaders are likely fretting over a potential loss of influence over North Korea after its leader Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin signed this deal this week, and how that could increase instability on the Korean peninsula. Of course, the Chinese also have quite a bit of influence over the North Korea. They provide them with humanitarian aid, I assume, with weapons and technology to build a little bit more modern equipment. And the North Koreans send their hackers to learn in China how to hack. Then they come back to North Korea and steal cryptocurrencies and do other heists online. So China is also a bit fretting about losing the influence over North Korea as well. Beijing may also be struggling to come up with a response to what could be the strongest Russia-North Korea partnership since the Cold War, because it has conflicting goals: keep peace in the Koreas while countering the US and its Western allies on the global stage. Yes. Beijing so far has not commented on the deal, which requires both countries to provide defense assistance if other is attacked, and only reiterated boilerplate statements that it seeks to uphold peace and stability on the Korean peninsula. An advanced and a political settlement of the North-South divide. I did also hear there was another intrusion to the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea by the North Koreans recently again. We're not going to be reading about this, but maybe some of you in the comments might actually put the article for it there, if the YouTube does not put it down, obviously. The Chinese response has been very weak, said Victor Cha, Senior Vice President for Asia and Korea Chair at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, adding that it could be a sign that Beijing doesn't yet know what to do. That's possible. Every option is a bad option, he said. You are either unable to make decisions because you have very strongly held competing views, or you're just incapable of making a decision because you just don't know how to evaluate the situation. Some in Beijing may welcome the Russia-North Korean partnership as a way of pushing back at America's dominance in world affairs, but Cha said there is also a great deal of discomfort in China, which doesn't want to lose its way over its neighbor to Russia, and doesn't want to see a destabilizing nuclear power on its doorstep. They do not view Russia this way. And doesn't want to bring the conflict in Europe to Asia. But China isn't raising these concerns publicly. They don't want to push Kim Jong-un further into the arms of Vladimir Putin, Cha said, referring to the leaders of these two countries. Russia and China has already signed the friendship pact before the invasion of Ukraine, and that has not changed, even though China may have been a little bit skeptical of Russia on the open political scene. Behind the closed doors, they still support them, as they view Russia both as a partner and second as an opportunity for a potential puppet if the influence grows over Russia. Lin Jian, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, declined to comment on the new agreement. The cooperation between Russia and DPRK is a matter of two sovereign states. We do not have information on the relevant matter, he said, referring to North Korea by the initial for its official name, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. John Kirby, the White House National Security spokesman, told the reporters that the pact between Russia and North Korea should be of concern to any country that believes that the UN Security Council resolutions ought to be abided by. Nobody gives a shit about United Nations, and you should know that considering your support for Israel. The Security Council has imposed sanctions on North Korea to stop its development of nuclear weapons, and North Korea is probably going to achieve that in this decade, most likely, if the cooperation with Russia keeps on going. Yes. Gerbe also said the agreement should be of concern to anybody who thinks that supporting people of Ukraine is an important thing to do, and we would think that the concern would be shared by the People's Republic of China. China doesn't give a shit about you. One area that China could be concerned about is whether Russia will help North Korea's weapons program by sharing advanced technology, said Alexander Gabuev, director of the Carnegie Russia Eurasia Center. Most likely, yes, considering just how grand was the welcoming of the Russian president, just how majestic was all of it. Like, you probably saw some photos or videos. Like, you're not going to get this sort of an welcoming for nothing. Even if it's like your first visit after like 25 years. Like, there's definitely something in it for the North Korea, something very good for North Korea. If China is indeed concerned, it has leverage in both Russia and North Korea, and it could probably try to put some limitation to that relationship, he said. The Chinese had known about this deal probably for a very long time. They would have said something. Like, this is like they are assuming that the Chinese has also learned about this friendship peg, the day it was announced, like yesterday. No, they probably knew about this for many months before. Like, this is very silly and naive to think that the China would not know if the Chinese and if the Russians and the North Koreans would try to become closer partners. They probably knew about this for many months. The meeting between Putin and Krim this week was the latest chapter in decades of complicated political and military relationships in East Asia, where the Chinese Communist Party, once an underdog, has emerged as a leading power that wields influence over both North Korea and Russia. That and other developments have raised alarm in the US that Beijing, now the world's second largest economy, could challenge the US-led world order by aligning itself with countries such as Russia, North Korea, and Iran. Beijing has rejected that allegation. Sun Yun, director of the China program at Stimson Center, said Beijing doesn't want to form a three-way alliance with North Korea and Russia because it needs to keep its options open. Yes, they probably don't want to form the Axis because lessons of war, they know how it ended the last time for Germans. In attrition war, the NATO would still beat this tripartite pact. Even if Iran went in and some other nations, it would still beat them. They need someone like India on their side, or someone like India to be neutral, or stop trading to the Western nations. Then it would be definitely, then it could turn into a coin flip. And the crucial region would be the South America. If the Chinese were to gain an influence in South America to the point that the countries would sign military with them, then the US would be screwed because they would have to invade the entire South America. They would have to station hundreds of thousands, if not millions of soldiers there just to keep it safe. That would have completely drained out the United States manpower resources, and they would have to introduce a mandatory conscription, which is something most of Americans does not want, and that could theoretically threaten a major trouble for the US regime. Such a coalition could mean a new Cold War, something Beijing says it is determined to avoid, and looking itself to Pyongyang and Moscow would be contrary to China's goal of maintaining relationships with Europe and improving ties with Japan and South Korea, she said. Indeed, China also wants to economically dominate the European Union. They want to increase their influence over the European Union economics, to have the European Union be very dependent on China, which could also cause a friction in the NATO. So I mean, yeah, there's a 60, 70, 80 just going on in the state of the world geopolitical, scene. Closer ties between Putin and Kim could weaken Beijing sway and view it as the biggest loser, said Danny Russell, who was the top US diplomat for Asia in the Obama administration. No. No. That's a very naive thing to say. That is very naive. This maybe seems like this for the Western nation, however, for them, no. If this was the case, then they would have discussed it with Moscow beforehand. Apart from irritation over Putin's intrusion into what most Chinese consider their sphere of influence, the real cost to China is that Russia's embrace gives North Korea greater impunity and room to maneuver without consideration to Beijing's interests, he said. Yes, that seems to be the case considering the intrusions to the demilitarized zone on the North-South Korea border. Russell, now Vice President for the International Security and Diplomacy at the Asia Society Policy Institute, said that Kim is eager to reduce his country's dependence on China. Yes, understandable. The dilution of Chinese leverage means Kim Jong-un can disregard Beijing's call for restraint, he said, and that is much more likely to create chaos at a time when Chinese leader Xi Jinping desperately wants stability. Yes, China wants to have a stable economy, growing economy, so they could invest more into their army for their possible invasion of Taiwan. Possible. Hopefully it won't happen. Because we all know what would happen afterwards. So this is the end of the article. Definitely an uncertain times for the world. It is logical that Putin and Russia are looking for new friends, new economic partners, military partners. They already get a lot of Shri drones from Iran. And they could get much more ammunition from North Korea, which actually in paradox kind of reduces the chance of any open conflict in North-South Korea, when you think about it. If the North Korea is selling their ammunition reserves, it kind of lowers the threat of the war erupting on the Korean peninsula. Even though they would get probably some rockets, people argue, that's simply a very silly argument to make us. The war in Ukraine showed you need a lot of artillery ammunition. And if the North Korea is selling that ammunition and they watch what's happening in the Ukraine, then this more signals that the North Korea is not looking for an open conflict and they are looking to mainly up their military force, modernize their force, get some shiny weapons, flex those muscles on South Korea, but it does not seem they want war in any near future. So yeah. Moving on. This was a long article. Navigating through darkness. Ukraine's emergency blackouts return after Russia pounds infrastructure. I'm gonna take a sip of water. And we'll be right back. Okay. Russia also started to hit the Ukraine's infrastructure again. The spring, the summer is here. So yeah, they are renewed their effort to tamper with the Ukraine's infrastructure. During daytime, entire districts of Ukraine's capital are disconnected from the power grid to save energy. Traffic lights stop, choking traffic accompanied by constant rumble of generators installed outside cafes and shops. Ukraine, including Kiev, is struggling to cope with the new wave of rolling blackouts after relentless Russian attacks took out half the country's power generation capacity. Residents and businesses of Kiev are adapting to the absence of electricity using generations, power banks, and flashlights, and even recalculating their bathroom visits. Heavy damage inflicted to the country's power systems has left millions feeling uncertain about Ukraine's ability to meet the national electricity demand after the warm weather months are over and the weather turns cold. I light my apartment and as our grandparents used to, with candles and small flashlights, said Rudoy, a 30-year-old insurance agent from Israel who relocated from Tel Aviv to Kiev in 2023 after Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022. He said he wanted a new life despite the war, to live side by side with old friends and reside in a milder climate, but he hadn't foreseen the inconveniences of living without power. Oh my god. Of course, clueless civilian. Rudoy bought an apartment on the 7th floor of a newly built 25-story high-rise with no gas system or water supplies that's wholly dependent on electricity. And he think he would be doing okay. Clueless civilian. Bro, you're going into the war zone. Like, what were you expecting? That you will be living in a 5-star hotel? Come on. And you might be asking why Russia isn't doing the bombarding in winter. That's because that would cause a massive stir in the international community, and they would be condemning it because they would be responsible for the people, dying to the cold weather, freezing to death, which they would be even now. However, they could say that it's the failure of the Ukrainian state that they did not provide for their citizens, even though it's completely Russia's fault that they bombard their electricity devices and cause these blackouts. However, after a few months after the bombardments, some people doesn't think about it this way. They only think about why we have electricity, and yeah, that's about it. I have to adjust my life to the blackout schedules, otherwise it is impossible to live normal, not even to use a toilet at times. Okay, that's definitely severe. Why would you get the toilet on a electricity though? What the hell? Sorry. Oh, sorry about that. A friend in a nearby district typically has power when he doesn't, which makes his life easier. Work often gets done at a cafe that has a generator, but there's a catch. Even if you find a free table at the cafe nearby, working generators are very noisy and spread diesel fumes, obviously. He said, that's why not many cafes that operate during blackouts are actually good to work in. Ukraine is struggling to meet electricity demand as a systematic attack on its power infrastructure have intensified since March, forcing utilities to ration household supplies over the last 3 months. The country's top officials had repeatedly called on allied countries to provide more air defense systems to protect its power plants from the Russian missiles and drones, but tangible damage has already been inflicted. The blackouts in Kiev are the worst since the early months of the war, when Russian strikes on the country's power grid led to major wintertime blackouts that led to authorities setting up communal heating areas and hundreds of emergency points where residents could drink tea, recharge their phones, and get help. as of today, due to the missile and drone strikes, we have lost 9.2 gigawatt of electricity generating capabilities. Ukrainian Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said in early June, despite having the capacity to import 2.2 gigawatts of electricity from European countries, Ukraine is importing 1.7 gigawatts, Shmyhal said. Apart from direct imports, Ukraine is working to attract foreign investment to its private energy sector. That is very hard considering they are at war. Because, I mean, that is a very risky investment for any investor, which would probably turn into an unprofitable one. At a summit in Berlin this month, Ukraine presented investment projects that could enable additional capacity of 1 gigawatt. Volodymyr Kudrytsky, the head of power utility Ukrenergo. But in the short time, Ukraine readiness before the next winter looks highly uncertain considering damages to its energy system. Damages to its energy system, not weather. The feasible outlook for reconstruction and electricity demand. The constant blackouts bring disruption to many city residents' daily rituals. Official power outage schedules published regularly by the Ukrainian energy operators make it easier to plan the day, but energy companies often resort to unscheduled emergency blackouts when the city overconsumes electricity at the peak hours. The circumstances force businesses and households to rely on alternative sources of electricity and light to get through the day, as the summer heat makes more and more people use air conditioners. And many are worried the situation could get even worse. Small businesses don't always keep up with the energy situation rapidly changing every week. I'm gonna check something. Alexander Solovey, the 25-year-old owner of Informatika coffee shop in Kiev, just plans to buy a generator which typically costs around $1,000 to keep his business open during blackouts. In the meantime, he must improvise. He prepares hot water in advance to cook matcha and teas. Cooking coffees at a time like this is impossible. The coffee machine consumes too much energy, Solovey told the AP. The fiber optic internet cable and power bank that keeps the router on attract patrons to Informatica where they can work on their laptops. Still, customers have thinned out since the blackouts began. We think the situation will get worse by winter, Solvay said. We already plan to buy a generator powerful enough to brew coffee, light the space and charge the devices of our visitors. We are preparing for a hard winter. Yes, and there are such people in the US that would actually go into the war into the World War III. Yeah, if the nukes doesn't get you, yeah, you're gonna good luck living your life normally. Well, the exception could be if you are powered up by solar energy or any other of this green energy that could give you a little bit of an edge. However, in the winter, it would not be much of an help, so yeah. The situation in Ukraine is still very severe. This is all of it. The comment section never works. So, I mean, this is obviously part of the war that the power outages, and yeah, it is very bad for the Ukrainian people, especially if they go into winter without enough of the energy to sustain electricity. That could be very dangerous. I would assume the Ukrainians are probably already preparing to make some sort of, again, heating outposts to prevent, people from freezing to death and stuff like this. So yeah, hopefully they'll get to this hard times. So yeah, moving on. we got another power outage, this time from heat. Major power outage hits Balkan regions as counties swelter in early summer heat wave. Wait, there are photos actually, yes. Okay. Okay, they're just some random Instagram photos, nothing. You have children here playing, some teenager, whatever this is. Oh yeah, they are cooling, obviously. Belgrade, a major Ausung power outage hit much of the Balkans on Friday as the southern European region sweltered in an early heat wave that sent temperatures soaring to more than 40 degrees of Celsius. I'm not quite sure if I can say it. I'm gonna say it regardless, I don't give a fuck. The Montenegrin authorities said that an outage that lasted for several hours in the country's power distribution system left almost the entire country without electricity, while similar problems were reported in the coastal part of Croatia, Bosnia, and Albania. Nuda Pavicevic, a spokeswoman for Montenegro's state power distribution company, described the outage as a disturbance of regional proportion and said authorities were still working to determine what happened. The exact cause for such a widespread outage wasn't immediately clear. Bosnia State Power Company said the outage was caused by the problems in a regional distribution line, while Albania State Power Company said the extreme heat caused the problem. Montenegro, Croatia, and Albania share the Adriatic Sea coastline power grids in the region remain connected decades after the Balkan Wars in the 1990s. In the Bosnian capital Sarajevo, the outage also caused day traffic jams with trams stopping and traffic lights not operating. Similar gridlock was reported at the Adriatic seaport of Split. In the Bosnian capital Sarajevo, we already read that, in Croatia's tourist resort of Dubrovnik, thousands of tourists were left stranded in mid-afternoon, with restaurants, pubs, supermarkets, ice cream shops, and other outlets shutting down their doors during the outage. Soccer or football fans miled around some of the pubs with darkened televisions because they wanted to watch games being played at the European Championship Soccer football tournament in Germany. I feel bad for them. I mean, my internet was also out yesterday and early today, and the weather outside is terrible. I hope my internet doesn't go out. I would be very angry. The collapse, which happened just after noon on Friday and lasted for several hours at some places, came as authorities throughout the region warned citizens to be cautious, drink water, and avoid sunshine because of extremely high temperatures. Don't stay in the sun between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. warned Serbia's Public Health Institute in its instruction to citizens. If you must go out, please take a bottle of water along. Meteorologists say the heat in the region this week came from the Africa, carrying the sand particles that created a cloud-like layer, dimming the skyline. The sweltering heat was the worst in big cities where concrete sizzled even in the evening, and where nights offered no real respite as temperatures remained above 20 Celsius. Yes, I guess this is also sort of an inconvenience from the concrete structures that they definitely consume. I know consume is probably not the word, but stronger, so they consume heat a little bit more than the American houses. Some American houses that are made of not necessarily wood, but of very lighter materials. If you get my drill. While hot summers are enormous in Balkans, temperatures don't reach such heights in mid-June, prompting weather alerts and warnings. Well, here it's quite the opposite. Here in mid-June we should have a pretty nice weather. However, this year the weather is completely ugly. It's very British, it's very ugly, and I don't like it. And I'm only like 300 or 400 kilometers away from Bosnia. Probably more, I'm not sure. No, much more. What am I saying? Like 700-800 kilometers. I'm not sure. By the road, not by the air, obviously. Earlier this week, authorities in North Macedonia imposed emergency measures throughout the Sunday, after which the heat is expected to relent. Belgrade President Miloš Jeftović said he is following the instructions and taking every opportunity to stay near the Serbian capital's two rivers. Authorities, he said, should have reduced working hours and parked water tanks in the city streets. Yes, that's true. That should definitely, these measures should be taken in such extreme cases. Personally, I don't have a problem, but this is not okay. Temperatures are above acceptable levels, Jeftović said. Weather warnings were also issued in neighboring Croatia, a tourism hotspot where the heat wave is set to peak on Friday before an expected change of weather on the weekend that could trigger storms. Montenegrin state television RTCG said that though the citizens of the county capital Podgorica are used to very high temperatures, some complained started too early. One man told the broadcaster, "I really don't know what we are going to do. Experts say the extreme weather conditions are also triggered by climate change." Yeah, I mean, the climate is really insane. Really insane this year. And it's very likely not going to get any better. The climate is definitely going to an instability, and we should do our best to stabilize it or to control it at least. Because such weather is definitely not normal. Even in Montenegro, even in Bosnia, and even in my place. Like in my place, there should be sunny weather every day. Like good old sunny weather with like 20 to 25 degrees Celsius every day. That, yeah, with occasional rain by like once per 10 to 14 days. And this is definitely insane just by how depressing the weather is. And it's getting windy out there. My internet is probably going to go down. We're gonna try to finish as many articles as possible. So moving on, I'm gonna check something. Okay, good. Space hair dye regenerates hard tissue in study. Okay, we got a science article / health article. Gentle shock waves could regenerate the hard tissue of patients after bypass surgery, research suggests. A study of 63 people in Austria found those given the new treatment could walk further and their hearts could pump more blood. For the first time, we are seeing the heart muscle regenerate in a critical setting, which could help millions of people, Professor Johannes Holfert from Innsbruck Medical University said. Larger trials of the device dubbed as a space hair dryer, but researchers are now planning to try to replicate the results in a wider group of patients. Okay. Blocked artery. Every year, 18 million people around the world die from heart disease or other cardiovascular complications, according to the World Health Organization. Risk factors include high blood pressure and an unhealthy diet, as well as tobacco and alcohol use. There is no cure for what is leading the cause of death. Globally, Drugs and other treatment can help manage the disease and reduce the chances of a heart attack, where the supply of blood to the organ is suddenly blocked. In severe cases, surgeons take a healthy blood vessel from the chest, leg, or arm and attach it to the area of heart above and below the blocked artery, a procedure known as a heart bypass. But this kind of operation can only preserve heart function rather than improve it. BBC Sounds. People fixing the world, shockwaves for the heart. The researchers in Austria have been trying to regenerate the damaged tissue itself by applying mild shockwaves shortly after bypass surgery. The procedure, which takes about 10 minutes, is designed to stimulate the growth of the new vessel around the area damaged or scarred after a heart attack. A similar shockwave technique is already used to treat other conditions such as injured tendons and ligaments and erectile dysfunction. Okay. Higher strength waves or pulses are also used in lithotripsy, a common medical procedure to break up kidney stones. Half of the bypass patients in the study published in the European Heart Journal were treated with sound waves under general anesthetic, while the others received a fake or a sham procedure. A year after the surgery, the amount of oxygenated blood pumped by the heart had increased by 11.3% in the shockwave group, 6.3% in the control group. The shockwave patients could also walk further without resting and reported a higher quality of life. This means they are able to go out for a walk with their dog again or go to the supermarket in their everyday life, Professor Holfeld said. We also anticipate they will have a longer life expectancy and fewer rehospitalizations. Okay, this seems like the thing they use for the bypass, what the bypass surgeons use, the space high hair dryer, as they call it, to apply some mild shockwaves. British Heart Foundation Associate Medical Director Dr. Sonia Babu-Narayan, a consultant cardiologist, said current heart disease treatment has much room for improvement. What's exciting about this trial is that a year later, people who had shockwave therapy to the heart during the operation had a better heart function and fewer symptoms than those who didn't, she said. A bigger and longer trials are now needed to research the longer-term effects. The researchers expect European regulators to approve the device later this year, with first use on patients outside clinical trials planned for 2025. The study was funded by the Austrian government departments, US National Health, Lung and Blood Institute, and a company spun off from Innsbruck Medical University and part owned by researchers. And that's the article. So I didn't say very much anything about this because I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I have no real knowledge about this. Although I did thought this was very cool to actually include, and it's quite important because heart is definitely an important part of your body, and heart problems can cause a lot of problems to people, and they can theoretically even ruin your life if your heart gives up on you. So yeah, we got some space head there, as they call it. It seems it's going to go into service next year, so we'll see how it's going to perform. So I'm going to show you the next article. We're going to get a woman claims breach of contract after boyfriend fails to take her to the airport. Okay. This is going to be a very bizarre one, very strange one, but we're going to read it afterwards. I'm going to take a pause. I'm not feeling quite well. I need to take a bit of a rest. I'm gonna lay down for a bit and I'll be back with this soon, so stay tuned. Not like this. is what you're gonna probably see in a few moments. Okay, I feel a little bit better now. So, but I'm gonna try to finish this article because this one is really funny. I want to, hopefully my internet won't go down. We still have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 articles to go to. And then we got 2, 4, 6 Twitter Bazaar. And afterwards we're done. Hope it doesn't crash. I'm gonna check how the banger on the main channel is doing. Pretty good. He has 350 views, it seems. That's very good. That's a very good statistic. And it got, okay, doing pretty good. 600. Very good, very good. I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. Alright. Even with that little thumbnail. But you know what they say. Attractive women sells. And there's probably some truth to it. So, right, deep breaths. Women claims breach of contract after boyfriend fails to take her to the airport. The New Zealand Disputes Tribunal dismissed the claim, which included a request for compensation for new plane ticket and other costs. Okay, so the guy won this, luckily. Okay, we're gonna have a good laugh. Is it a breach of contract if someone says they'll take you to the airport and then doesn't show? No, because you did not sign any sort of paper documents. You did not have the documents verified by a government official to make those documents actually valid. Therefore, you have no case. That's what one woman in New Zealand claimed after her boyfriend failed to pick her up before her flight as planned. What did he see in her? Maybe we'll see her photo. The couple, neither of whom are named, had been in a relationship for 6.5 years. According to an order released Thursday by the New Zealand Disputes Tribunal, the woman who was traveling to attend a concert with friends said she and her boyfriend had entered into a verbal contract in which he agreed to drop her off at the airport, stay at her home while she was away, and look after her 2 dogs. Okay, and can we see a official document for it? 6.5 years. What did he saw in her? Or what did he see in her? Like, I genuinely wonder. Oh, the weather is now getting really bad. We have to get faster. We have to be faster. But we cannot be too fast. I want this video to have 10 minutes, content, even though I don't get paid. The day before her flight, the woman messaged the man with instruction to pick her up between 10 and 10:15 a.m., but he never arrived, causing her to miss her flight. She told the tribunal she was seeking compensation from him for the cost of taking a different flight the next day, taking a shuttle to the airport and boarding her dogs at a kennel. I mean, did she try to ask what happened, or did she try to communicate him when he didn't arrive and try to get an alternative, someone other to actually take her to the airport? According to the order, the woman said the man enjoyed staying at her house and had looked after her dogs in the past. Wait, wasn't he her boyfriend? I'm confused. The couple had lived together previously but were now in separate homes since the man's son had come back to live with him. Okay, so there are probably some older people So he has a son, but it's not her son. Okay. The woman also sought reimbursement for the cost of a ferry ticket that she had purchased for the man as a part of a holiday planned for last December to visit her sons. So both of them have children, but the children are not the other half's children. So the man has a son, but that son isn't his girlfriend's son, and the woman has sons whom and her boyfriend's sons. I know it doesn't make any sense. This whole trial doesn't make any sense. The tribunal, which is used to settle small claims and has no lawyers or judges, dismissed the claim, saying that the man's promise fell short of being a contract. Indeed. I mean, if she was so much paranoid to actually thought she made a contract, then she should have just wrote it on paper and had it actually, had an official government person to verify it. Like, I don't know what she's thinking. For an agreement to be enforceable, there must be an intention to create a legal binding relationship. Indeed, tribunal referee Gracia Corey said in the order, which was dated March 7th. This is a pretty old actually, but I would assume it was not made public for a while. Or maybe it reached the USA far more longer than it was going in the New Zealand news, because I would assume the USA doesn't really follow New Zealand news that much. Partners, friends, and colleagues make a social arrangement, but it is unlikely they can be legally enforced unless the parties perform some act that demonstrates an intention they will be bound by their promise, she said. Indeed. When friends fail to keep their promises, the other person may suffer a financial consequence, but it may be that they cannot be compensated for that loss. I agree. The man's promises were made as a part of the normal give and take in an intimate relationship, Corey said. There was no indication of any intention for him to be legally bound by them. It forms part of everyday family and domestic relationship agreements that are not enforceable in the disputes tribunal, she said. According to the order, the man has said he would not attend the tribunal hearing and did not answer a follow-up call from Corey. Obviously, I mean, yeah, this is very tedious claim to make, and justice was served here. Like, she had no business actually getting money from him. And one has to wonder, like, 6.5 years they've been together. What did he saw in her? Like, what did he see in her? And even he wasn't perfect. Like, he has a son, and he's a single parent from looks of things. I'm not quite, I mean, there's no details on how good is his relationship with his son's mother. And there are no information on how is his girlfriend's relationship with her son's father either. However, this is quite of a red flag if you are considering a relationship. If your other half already has children, then it should serve as a tiny red flag. It should serve as a warning flag to you to be a little bit more on the guard and do not be just under the influence of emotions of love, or any other kind of desires. Because, I mean, yeah, then this nonsense can happen. So, yeah, I mean, justice served, and it seems to have gone out well. Like, I do completely agree with the result, with the sentence, or the order, with the order. So, moving on. Oh, we got this. Okay, I'm gonna hopefully the internet doesn't go down. I would be very mad if it did. because I do definitely want to make this into a video. 2 French boys are accused of avoiding a 12-year-old Jewish girl in an act of anti-Semitism. We actually talked about anti-Semitism before that. I'm not sure if this is going to release before or after I publish the other video, so I'm not really going to tell what it's about, but it's about an influence of AI on anti-Semitism. However, you have to take it with a grain of salt because that article was paid for by the World Jewish Congress, basically by the Israel. And it was published on, I think it was Quick on Detroit or some other site, I'm not sure. In any case, let's go straight to the article. Give me a moment. Okay, it should be okay, hopefully. Maybe. 2 adolescent boys in Paris suburb has been given a preliminary charges of avoiding a 12-year-old girl and religion-motivated violence, the French authorities said Wednesday. A Jewish reader say... You probably heard that, sorry, but I just couldn't help myself. A Jewish reader said the girl is Jewish. Good sentence. Okay, the attack elicited widespread shock and concern, notably after a surge of anti-Semitic acts in France since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. The girl reported a riot in the town of Courbevoie on Saturday. And 3 boys aged 12 and 13 were detained, according to the regional prosecutor's office. It is said 2 of the boys were given multiple preliminary charges on Tuesday, including aggravated gang riot on a minor younger than 15 years old, violence and public insult motivated by religion, death threats, attempted extortion, and unlawful recording or broadcasting sexual images. Oh my god, they were even live streaming it or recording it. Oh my god. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. Those are 12 and 13 years old boys. Like, this is disgusting. Like, the prosecutor's office did not specify the girl's religion or release her identity, according to the policies for the protection of victims, as it is standard practice for hate crimes in France. Later, lawyer and Jewish reader Elie Korsha said in an interview with French broadcaster BFM that the girl is Jewish and that Palestine was mentioned during the attack. French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal wrote on X, formerly Twitter, that the girl was avoided because she's Jewish, identifying it as an anti-Semitic attack. The 2 boys are being held in custody, pending further investigation, the prosecutor's office said. The 3rd boy was named as an assisted witness to the alleged riot and placed in a special education program. The prosecutor's office said the 3 boys expressed regret towards the victim without addressing their involvement. What do you mean express regret? Like... I don't understand. What do you mean by express regret? Like, do you not understand what you have done? Like, if you once did such an act, like, you did it deliberately. Like, there's no, like, accident way. Like, this was a deliberate attack. Like, I do not trust, and I do not believe anyone who said he has regret after avoiding someone. Apologies, but I just do not believe that anyone feels any kind of regret. Political leaders across the spectrum denounced the attack. France is in the midst of a blitz campaign for snap parliamentary election on June 30th and July 7th, and the frontrunner far-right National Rally Party has sought to make security and immigration key campaign issues. Interior Minister Gerald Darmanin described the attack as awful and said police were limited in their ability to prevent such violence. It's a problem of the parents, of authority. It's the problem of society as a whole, he said on BFM television. And in a sense, I do agree, there is a problem of bad parenthood. And yes, this is not limited to only these kids. I mean, the parenthood overall is very poor, especially in the last years. Like the parents often do not really care about their children, but they do not raise them. They do not insert default values into them. They do not teach them much about what is wrong and what is right. Obviously, some do, some don't. However, there's a good portion of those parents who do not insert a values into their children, and they sometimes grow up to be delinquents and even worse. And I mean, on the other side, obviously, even if you insert, your values into your children, it is not guaranteed they will not turn bad. The surroundings, the environment also has an influence on them. I mean, the parents can and should at least insert some values into their children and try to sway them to the good path. And then it's up to the children to find the good path and uphold it and keep following it. On Wednesday evening, hundreds of people gathered in the front of Paris City Hall to protest anti-Semitism. Many in the crowd were holding placards, including some bearing the slogan, "I avoided because she's Jewish." And this is the end of the article. I'm gonna check if yes, we are still streaming, that's good. My internet did not crash, I'm very glad, because I do want to publish this as a video. Again, you're gonna have people who gonna go out immediately, the Muslims, obviously, which it was not said who they are, however, I do not really care about that. You're gonna have people who are going to call for mass deportations, obviously, and this is a result of bad parenthood. I mean, this is a result of bad parenthood. First and foremost, they do not insert their values into their children, or maybe they did insert their values, and they inserted a very bad, very villainous values into their children, and this is the result. There are people in France who should not be there. We've read about it actually some time ago when 3 people were stabbed in the French metro by someone who was denied a refugee status and was not supposed to be on the French soil at all. So there you go. And I mean, if such people are there and have influence on children, then yeah, this is the unfortunate result of it, and it has to be sought, because I mean, this is a very disgusting and heinous crime. And the French people, the French politicians have to make a stand and say it's not okay, and they have to act on it. Otherwise, we as a society might be heading towards a very dark times. Moving on. We got this article. Yes, we got this article. You probably already heard about it. Obviously you did, because I mean, when they do shit like this, it's already all over the internet. I'm gonna publish it with some days afterwards, because this has already been covered to the death. Two activists arrested for vandalizing Stonehenge in a climate protest. A pair of climate protesters was arrested in Wednesday after allegedly spraying the Stonehenge monument in England with orange paint according to the local authorities. What do you mean allegedly? We even have a video. There we go. I'm gonna show it to you right away. That guy must be like 60 years old, or maybe even older, the left one. Like, bro, you're 60 years old and you do something like this. Like, how demented must you be? How degenerate must you be? And the other one is a small kid. I do not understand this at all. I do not understand this. I'm gonna pause it now. So we saw it. So people actually call this. I'm not quite sure if this is here. I'm not going to look for it now, but some people call it that it might be a psyop, which is possible that this organization Just Stop Oil is actually a psyop from the oil magnates to turn the mainstream media and the people in general against those who protest against climate and just throw them all into the one bag with these stupid people and basically get once again unlimited rights to ravage the Mother Earth for their own profit. So moving on. The protesters from the group Just Stop Oil sprayed the monument with orange paint Wednesday, one day ahead of the summer solstice, the longest day of the year in the Northern Hemisphere, the environmental activist group said in a statement on the social platform Twitter. The two individuals were demanding the incoming government sign up to a legally binding treaty to phase out fossil fuels by 2030, Just Stop Oil said. Wiltshire police told the Associated Press the two protesters were arrested near Salisbury, England, on suspicion of damaging one of the world's most famous prehistoric monuments and a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Hill reached out to the police and Just Stop Oil for further comment. The manager of the ancient site, English Heritage, called the incident extremely upsetting and said curators are investigating the extent of the damage. Just Stop Oil noted the paint used on the 4.5 thousand year old stone circle was made of orange corn flour that will dissolve in the rain. Doesn't matter, you're still stupid. The group said the move came in response to the Labour Party recently released manifesto, which committed to not issuing further licenses for oil and gas exploration should it win the election on the July 4th. Just Stop Oil supports the decision, but said it is not enough. Of course, it's not enough for these idiots. We continue to burn coal, oil, and gas with results of death of millions. We have to come together and defend humanity or we risk everything, a spokesperson for Just Stop Oil said in a statement. But they are doing something, and we have to commend them for doing something. And doing something is better than doing nothing. And being radical is not good for the humanity. I mean, we could see the Jacobins. Yeah, the Jacobin party of the late 18th century. Yeah, that's what you get when you let radicals rule. They are doing something and they are moving towards a greener future, which is something that should be done and we should be embrace it naturally. We should not be forcing it onto the other people, as the change will eventually prevail and eventually we should reach a much better CO2 levels. So yeah, I mean, yeah, don't do this stupid shit. Like, I mean, yeah, like, even I do kind of believe that these idiots are paid by somebody from the oil industry to make the whole to make the whole, climate protesters look very horrible, to make them look like a brat, and make the general populace be against them, which is very likely story actually. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. The two protesters involved are Niam Lynch, a 21-year-old student from Oxford, and Rajan Naidu, 73 years old. And he does such bullshit. Birmingham, I see. Okay, that explains a lot. Birmingham, England, according to the group. Of course he's from Birmingham. What a surprise. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak saw Wednesday protests, writing on Twitter, "Just stop oil are a disgrace." Hard words. Labour leader Keir Starmer, Sunak's main opponent in the upcoming election, called Just Stop Oil pathetic and said the damage done to the Stonehenge is outrageous. Those are better words. Those are stronger words. I appreciate them. I definitely appreciate such tone. Much better than, "Oh, they are such a disgrace. Oh my god, you're such a pussy dog." Fucking use some stronger words for fuck's sake. They just damage your natural, heritage, your heritage from prehistoric ages. Fucking use some stronger words, not this, whatever this says, you stupid rich boy. Yeah, this is the word. This is definitely better. I mean, I would be glad if somebody went actually even further, but hey, this is better. And said the damage done to the Stonehenge is outrageous. The Labour Party is currently leading in polling, with several pundits and politicians predicting the party will lead the next government. Well, it's very likely. I mean, they have 40+% in the polls, so it's very likely they'll get a supermajority. They probably can even make a coalition with the Liberal Democrats, possibly, or maybe with this SNP. I'm not quite sure how their relationships are with the other parties. Someone from Britain would have to enlighten us about it. The thousands are expected to visit Stonehenge on the lands of Salisbury Plain on Thursday to mark the summer solstice. The historic site was built starting 5,000 years ago, while the iconic stone circle was built in the late Neolithic period about 2,500 years ago. So I mean, this whole organization, you've probably heard about them a lot in the past years. I really despise them. They are an absolute joke of an activist, and I do definitely think they are probably paid by someone to make the climate protesters look dumb, or maybe they're just dumb. I mean, in human history, there have been many people who've been dumb, who've been just stupid idiots, and they weren't paid. So I mean, both possibilities are probable. I don't know what is true. Well, maybe we'll find out in some years. So moving on. We got a funny one. A firm fined for selling China-made cars as Italian. Oh no. Oh no. Oopsie. The Italian government has fined a car company $6.4 million for allegedly branding vehicles that were made in China as being produced in Italy. Oh no. The Dia Automobiles misleadingly marketed cars as being produced in Italy, even though they were mostly made in China, according to the country's competition regulator. The firm said it would appeal against the fine, as it had never claimed its vehicles were completely made in Italy. Southern Italy-based company Dia Automobiles assembled low-cost vehicles using components produced by Chinese carmakers Chery, BAIC and GAC. GAC. The regulator said cars under the companies Dia and Evo brands were sold as being Italian-made, but were largely of Chinese origin. Only minor assembly and finishing work was carried out in Italy, it said. This practice has coincided with a period in which the company recorded market growth in sales of Dia and Evo vehicles in the Italian market, the authorities said. So you're telling me that the Chinese EVs are actually good? Very interesting. Very interesting. The move comes as Italy and the European Union, EU, as a whole are cracking down on cars produced outside of the trading bloc. Last month, dozens of Morocco-made Fiat Topolinos were seized in the Italian port of Livorno because they had Italian flag insignia. Fiat's parent company Stellantis said it had followed regulations but has since removed the flags from the vehicles. In April, Alfa Romeo, which is another Italian brand under Stellantis, decided to rename its new Poland-made Milano model as junior following pressure from authorities. Obviously, Milano has little to do with Poland. Last week, the EU threatened to hit Chinese electric vehicles with import taxes of up to 38% after politicians called them a threat to the region's motor industry. Looking at what the Chinese car did to this particular company, I would say they are probably too scared because their own EVs are shit. Yep. The EU is most likely falling behind in that race and they are scared. Yeah, like their own companies would probably had reduced sales and the EU does not want them because I would assume that the tax gains would go down. So I mean they probably introduced those regulations because of money, obviously. They want more money. And reducing the Chinese influence is secondary. But it plays a role, alright, it plays a role in it. These charges would come on top of the current rate of 10% levied on all Chinese electric car imports to the EU. In response, China said the tariffs violated international trade rules and described the investigation as protectionism. Also, they maybe are going to start putting tariffs on the European Union pork imports, which EU also exports quite a bit of pork into China, so this could actually hurt EU as well. So this move probably comes from the pressure from the car manufacturer companies, from them lobbying politicians to actually do this, even though in reality it's probably going to cause only harm to the EU because EU as a market it's not the United States, it's actually pretty goddamn big. The announcement came after the US last month raised its tariff on Chinese electric cars from 25% to 100%. Oh well. I mean, yes, Chinese United States trade war is reheating, and it's probably going to get even spicier if Donald Trump gets reelected. Oh well. So, moving on. We still have several more articles to go to. Oh, 6 more. Oh yeah, we got a new dinosaur was actually discovered, it seems like. A newly discovered 22-feet Rockiceratops had the largest fur horns ever seen on a dinosaur. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Okay. Yeah, back. Fascinating pictures show what the newly discovered rocky ceratops would have looked like when it existed 78 million years ago on then subtropical coastal plain. Let's see. I see. Okay, that's definitely an interesting looking dinosaur. A little bit like Triceratops, obviously, but they're very unique. Those horns are very unique, and even his skull is very unique, actually. His back is pretty vanilla, though, so. I mean, his face, like solid 9 out of 10, maybe 10 out of 10 if I'm in good mood. His back, pretty vanilla, 6 out of 10. A new giant dinosaur with the largest fur horns have ever seen among the prehistoric creatures has been discovered. Resembling the build of a rhino, Rhodoceratops rangiformis fossils were unearthed in the US state of Montana. The dinosaur, which roamed Earth nearly 78 million years ago, had a uniquely ornate fur with at least 20 horns on it, scientists said, and measured 22 feet 6.7 meters long. Weighing around 5.5 tons, it used a powerful beak at the front of its mouth to graze on low-growing vegetation. Lokiceratops was named after the Norse god Loki, who wielded weapons resembling the dinosaur pair of blade-shaped horns, with each horn measuring about 2 feet. Those are the largest flare horns ever observed on a dinosaur. The horns and fur were most likely used for display on Rhodoceratops and other horned dinosaurs. Paleontologist Joe Sertish, co-lead author of the study published on the journal PRG, said. These displays could have been used to intimidate rivals, attract mates, or recognize members of the same species, Mr. Sertish of the Smithsonian Tropical Research Institute and Colorado State University said. The Rhodoceratops had 2 curving horns more than 16 inches 40 centimeters long above its eyes, small horns on its cheek, and braids and spikes on its extended head shields. The Rhodoceratops was one of the numerous species of horned dinosaurs called ceratopsians that roamed western North America during the Cretaceous period, which lasted from about 145 to 66 million years ago, at the time when a large inland sea split the continent in half. The blade-like horns also inspired the dinosaur's scientific name, which recognizes the home of the fossils at the Museum of Evolution in Denmark. The name means Loki's horned face and a formed like a caribou, referring to the fact that its frill displays horns of different lengths on each side like a caribou antlers. Alright. So we got a entirely new species of dinosaurs found. This is definitely going into a video. This is a very interesting topic, and I'm probably going to publish as soon as possible. So I mean, yeah, again, as I said before, we do think we know everything about our Earth. However, findings like these prove that there are still many mysteries about our own Earth we still do not know yet. Therefore, even though we are getting kind of bored of this planet, there are still many mysteries to unravel, and some mysteries we will never figure out. So yeah, moving on. We got an article about Biden. A little bit of tech news. Biden administration bans Kaspersky software over Russian ties. I remember when I was going to the, not high school, to the college, that there was an offer to install the Kaspersky antivirus for free. I did not use it. I was at the time using Avast. Nowadays, I don't use any antiviruses. I do use Malwarebytes from time to time, although I do not visit any suspicious sites. But hey, it's always better to be safe. Of course, you as an individual should always use antivirus, especially if you do not know anything about the internet. And even if you do, there's always the tiny chance you're gonna get jibaited. Somebody is going to jibate you and you're gonna get hacked. So I mean, yeah. Even though you're very confident, there's always the chance. So be very cautious around the internet. The Biden administration is issuing a total ban on the use of Kaspersky's lab software over its ties to Russia. The company's software has been of concern of the US government since at least 2017 because of the Russian government's alleged influence over the software. The Russian government has total access to the Kaspersky system and access to all of its customers' data, ABC News reported. Russia has shown it has the capacity and even more than that, the intent to exploit Russian companies like Kaspersky to collect and weaponize the personal information of Americans. Commerce Secretary Gina Raimondo said Thursday, the outlet reported. I mean, even you are sort of, getting the backdoor to your own citizens' data from time to time. So, I mean, sure, what you're saying is true. Alright, what she's saying is true. The authoritarian countries love to control its people. They love to know what their people are doing, so they can stamp down any sort of revolution intentions or any sort of unrest. Although even the democratic countries does that, and sometimes it is because of the need to locate the terrorists. Although sometimes they do pitch privacy, obviously. Raimondo said that while the company had been concerned for a long time, the Bureau of Industry and Security at the Commerce Department was able to ban Kaspersky under its new authority. The department ultimately decided that given the Russian government's continued offensive cyber capabilities and capacity to influence Kaspersky's operation, that we had to take this significant measure of a full prohibition if we are going to protect Americans and their personal data, Raimondo said. After July 20th, Kaspersky will not be able to enter new agreements in the US under the ban. Existing customers will have access to the software until September 29, but the services will degrade after that, ABC News reported. And yes, if American government would have wanted to, but they would get access to everyone's data, alright? If it would come to that, like if it would come to the serious business, then yeah, like they would get it out of those companies, even if they would try to protect your data. Like they would send their special services, and yeah, they would extort. They would get your data in some time. After July 20th, Kaspersky will not be able to enter new agreements in the US under the ban. Existing customers will have access to the software until September 29, but services will degrade after that, ABC News reported. Raimondo urged Americans and US businesses to immediately stop using the software, but said those who continue to use existing Kaspersky products will not be breaking the law. Users won't be able to update products as of September 20th. Homeland Security Secretary said in a statement reported by ABC News that the actions are vital to national security and will protect Americans' personal information and privacy. He vowed to continue working with various departments and officials to protect our nation's most vital systems and assets. Obviously, yes, cybersecurity is very important. especially in the upcoming age of AI. As AI is going to get smarter and smarter, then there's going to be bigger and bigger threat to the users that from getting scammed or hacked. And yes, the cybersecurity is very important in that sense. And as for the government spying on you, I think pretty much every government is spying on you in some way or other. Like the authoritarian governments are spying on you, that's given. Like everybody knows that. As for the Democrat government, they also gather information about you, alright? All those information that, the corporations sell for profit, like what you search, like what sites you visit, and what stuff you watch, what do you comment, and etc. Like those stuff will eventually get to the government as well. So I mean, anonymity on the internet is an illusion for most people. Moving on. We got 4 in 5 people want more climate action. UN survey. Okay. Yes. United Nations, 4 in every 5 people want their country to strengthen its... Sorry about that. Want their country to strengthen its commitments to addressing climate change, according to the global poll of 75,000 participants published on Thursday. That's not that much. It depends. Like if it was from the around the world, then and it is not much at all. Sorry about that. I was just looking about what's also worth reading on the CNA. Fuck. Okay, you didn't see it. The survey by the UN Development Programme, Oxford University, and Geopo posed 15 questions by randomized telephone calls to people in 77 countries, representing 87% of the world's population. 75,000 participants in 77 countries. That's under 1,000 per country. That's not good enough. That's not enough. However, I guess it's sizable sample. However, it's not precise enough. The key finding was that 80% of the respondents want their governments to increase efforts to fight against global warming. The poorer countries beat this drum the loudest, with 89% in favor, obviously. Though appetite is also high in the wealthy G20 nations, 76%, according to the survey. China, 73%, and the United States, 66%. The world's biggest greenhouse emitters also saw a majority of respondents of a climate action, although here the 34% that are against, they are going to be very loud, louder than anyone other. So yeah, it's going to be pain in the ass to actually go to anything there. And especially if the Republicans are going to get majority, then the 66% might as well be 100% against. As world leaders decide on the next round of pledges under the Paris Agreement by 2025, these results are undeniable evidence that people everywhere support both climate action, said Cassie Freund, the UNDP Global Climate Director. A majority respondents in 62 of the 77 countries surveyed said they supported a quick transition away from fossil fuels to clean energy. These included China, 80%, and the United States, 54%. And in Russia, just 16% of poll participants were in favor. Yeah, I mean, it's just... Oh, oh my. I think we have a problem. I think Okay, I think we have a problem. Worries about global warming have also increased. The survey found with 56% saying they think about climate change at least once a week. I think about climate change much often, although it is because I read these articles. So I do, so I do have to think about climate change like every day or every once per 2 days or per 3 days. Uh, Over half of the 53% of those surveyed said they were more worried about climate change than last year, compared with 15% who said they were less worried. Leading the rise in climate anxiety is Fiji, where 80% are more concerned compared to a year ago. Obviously, Fiji is one of the small islands in the Pacific Oceans, if I remember correctly, and they are not exactly the highest island, meaning they could get submerged if the sea levels rise. So yeah, that is a concern of their whole existence, actually, to them. If the sea level rises, then I'm not quite sure how many people are on Fiji, but the entire population would be displaced, pretty much. So, compared to a year ago, followed by Afghanistan, 78%, and Turkey, 77%. Saudi Arabia saw the lowest increase in climate fears with 25% more worried, followed by Russia 34% and Czech Republic 36% and China 39%. Oh yay, we are on the list. Yippee! People here are definitely more skeptical. Although I don't understand why. Because I mean, I have to watch this stupid weather every day. Like, come on, like, I know people probably don't want to call it climate change. How I do call it climate destabilization, which I think is the correct term for it, actually. But the weather here is definitely getting more radical, which is something we do not want to see. We want to see a stable weather, and we should strive to control the weather. Which, in the other hand, could cause a massive disaster if the weather ever breaks from our control again, because if we control something and it breaks the chain of control, then it's probably going to go wild. So, I mean, on the one hand, we could get a period of a very stable weather, very good weather, but it is very possible when that chain would break, we would get absolutely destroyed by Mother Nature. So it's like double-edged sword. More than two-thirds of survey respondents, 69%, said that global warming had impacted their life decisions such as where to live or work and what to buy. But Akim Steiner, head of the UNDP, said these concerns do not necessarily translate into electoral and consumer decisions. I would do more, but the others won't. So I will not do anything, Steiner said of what he called people's perception gap on climate action. Yes, people think like that. My surrounding is not doing anything for climate, so I'm not going to do anything because my surrounding is the entire world. People around me doesn't want to do anything, so the entire world does not want to do anything either. It's a very stupid way of thinking. We should be striving to control the weather. We should all regulate the weather at least. Because currently it is definitely very scary. And if the earth was to get warmer, any more warmer than it already is, we could get a massive migrant crisis. And yeah, and I would love to see the right wingers handle that. Like, what are you going to do? Deport them? Oh, I have a news for those people are going to be fucking pissed off, and they will not go back. They will force themselves on the beaches, and they will fight to the death. They will rather die than to return to the barren wasteland of a desert their homes turned into. And what are they gonna do? what are they gonna do? Like Richard, like give the order? No. Like a maniac would give the order. Like giving the order would be the greatest and the worst crime the humanity has ever done. Would be the worst, the darkest chapter of humanity. It would beat the Holocaust. It would be much worse. So yeah, we're gonna move up. And we got government borrowing in May is highest since COVID. I'm gonna actually go quickly to be right back. However, I'm not gonna be going anywhere. I'm just gonna put that we are live. There we go. I'm just gonna put it on Twitter. I have not been sharing my live streams much. I mean, nobody alive. No real person follows me there, but hey, 31 bot follows. Maybe somebody will come. So yeah, okay, we can move back. How's the video going? Oh, it's still a banger. It has over 400 views now. Damn, that's massive. That's massive. That's almost a view per second. That's no, view per minute. That's massive. 8. Oh, it's doing very good. Okay. Back to this thing though. We can watch it afterwards. So yeah, government borrowing in May is highest since COVID. That is not good, considering that your government has not repaid what it borrowed in after COVID. This is not good for you. Government borrowing in May hit the highest since the COVID crisis, but was lower than the UK's fiscal watchdog had forecast. Borrowing reached £15 billion last month, which was 800 million higher than May last year. So it means that the public sector spent more than it received in taxes and other income, leading the government to borrow billions of pounds. It is the third highest figure for May since records began in 1993, surpassed only by the pandemic years. However, borrowing was £600 million less than the Office for Budget Responsibility (OBR) had expected. With the general elections fast approaching, whichever party wins will face similar challenges on tax, spending, and debt, economists have warned. Government borrowing holds steady, but the fiscal Pandora's box await for the next chancellor, said Michal Staummach, senior economist at KPMG UK. Interest rates are set to remain high, debt more difficult to bring down, and spending pressures continue to amount. While there were some bright spots in the May's borrowing figures, according to Simon Wells, chief European economist at HSBC, he pointed out that the government debt was an extraordinary level and highest since 1960s. The government debt as a percentage of UK economic output, commonly known as a GDP, was at 99.8% last month. What has happened in public sector has ramped up first throughout the global financial crisis, then again throughout COVID, and so as it is historically high levels, Mr. Wells told BBC Radio 4's Today program. Yeah, this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well. Like, such large amounts of debt, like, how is it going to get repaid? Like, I do not see any way out for the debt to be repaid and for the costs of living to go down at this point. Like we might as well be heading into the next Great Depression, slowly but steadily. It is very uncertain time we live in. The Bank of England has been raising interest rates in an effort to bring down UK inflation, but one knock-on effect of this is the government having to pay more interest on debt. Indeed. Last month, the interest payable on the central government debt was £8 billion, which was one of the highest amounts on that record. Tax is a key battleground in the upcoming general elections, with the Conservatives, Labour and Liberal Democrats all ruling out increasing income tax, VAT and national insurance rates. Obviously, people do not want to hear about raising taxes because the cost of living is already high. Unfortunately, you do kind of have to raise the taxes to start paying off the debt or to get the debt under the control. Because if you keep the taxes as they are, and if you do not start levying more money, then you're gonna have to lend. You're gonna have to borrow more money. You're gonna have a bigger debt, which will require you to borrow more money, and etc. Until you break. This cycle has to be broken ASAP, otherwise it's not going to end well. Last month, the interest payable on the central governmental debt was £8 billion, which was one of the highest amounts on record. Oh yeah, we actually read this. Okay. Cuts in national insurance have eaten into how much money the government receives at a time when politicians are unwilling to commit to spending more on public services. The government receives £900 million less from national insurance in May than it did in the same month last year. But overall, tax receipts rose by £1 billion after revenue from income, corporation and value-added taxes increased. Taxes, including income tax, have effectively been rising after the government freeze on thresholds, the amount of money people earn before they start paying tax or before they start paying a higher rate. Thresholds usually rise in line with inflation, but in 2021, the Conservative government froze most bans in response to COVID. This has brought more people into paying higher rates in a phenomenon known as fiscal drag. Retail sales rebound. Meanwhile, in separate figures on Friday, retail sales rebounded in May after heavy rain put dampener on April activity. The amount of people bought volumes rose 2.9% in May, after a fall of 1.8% in April following a poor weather. The value also rose up to 3.2%. Danny Hefson, head of financial analysis at AG Bell, said it is little wonder why we Brits are obsessed with the weather. A bit of sunshine in the month of May, which helped with temperatures and spreads, translated into a bump in sales, especially for clothing and furniture retailers, she said. Jackie Baker, head of retail of auditors at RSM UK, said consumers had stocked up on clothing in anticipation of their summer holiday and rumors of the UK heatwave in May. But she added that confidence to spend on big ticket items remains low, obviously. And if you watch the US national debt, you also see the people's savings are getting tinier, which is not a good sign. But it's not a good sign, and on the other hand, it's also a good sign because it means people are investing more into the economy. On the other side, it also could mean that the people are going closer and closer to the poverty. So, I mean, yeah, this, as I said, this is a very difficult age we live in, and it's very likely not going to end well. Even though people think that we're gonna get soft landing, you're still gonna have to figure out how to repay the debt, and considering just how much the debt has increased in the last years, I don't think it's possible. I'm gonna take a quick pause. I'm just gonna go for a minute or two away, so I'm not going to even put out the be right back scene, and I'll be back. I'm just gonna go check something real quick. You can watch the next article headline. Okay, we're back. I just had to do something real quick. Macron and African leaders push for vaccines for Africa after COVID-19 exposed inequalities. Yes, if you remember the pandemic, the richer countries just devoured those vaccines for COVID-19, and African countries and other countries just got a very, very little of them. Just a reminder that you need money to do anything and everything in your life. Even as and especially as a government. You could see just how those people in Africa were unfairly treated, even though there's much more Africans than there are Europeans or Americans, obviously not combined. Okay. This is a long text. If you want to read this, you can. I'm gonna keep it here for you for a bit. And that's about it. You can pause it in the video bits and read it yourself. I don't want to read it. Paris, French President Emmanuel Macron joined several African leaders on Thursday to kick off a planned $1 billion project to accelerate the rollout of vaccines in Africa after the coronavirus pandemic exposed gaping inequalities in access to them. The launch of the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator, which will provide financial incentives to the vaccine manufacturers, offered a momentary break for Macron from domestic political concerns as a legislative election looms on June 30th and July 7th. Many of African leaders and advocacy groups say Africa was unfairly locked out of access to COVID-19 treatment tools and vaccines and testing equipment. Indeed, they were. Many richer countries bought up in a huge quantities they have, and after the pandemic was declared in 2020 and a lot of those vaccines had to be destroyed, because these countries bought way more than they actually needed. So yeah, a lot of those vaccines were completely wasted, had to be destroyed, which is not the cheapest of processes. So, and whilst those vaccines could have been used much better. WHO or WHO, advocacy groups and European Union and others want to help Africa get better prepared for the next pandemic, which many health experts say is inevitable. When the coronavirus pandemic began, South Africa was the only country in Africa with any ability to produce vaccines, officials say, and the continent produced a tiny fraction of all vaccines worldwide. Africa produces only 2% of the vaccines it uses, and the goal that we have set is that by 2040, the production is increased to reach 60%. In 16 years, it's possible, although it will probably be like 20%, maybe 25 to 30 is my estimate. France and Europe have supported this ambition since 2021 with 1.3 billion euros allocated, and we need to accelerate it. WHO failed in its effort to help countries agree to a pandemic treaty to improve preparedness and response to pandemics. Before its annual meeting last month, the project was shelved largely over disagreements about sharing of information about pathogens that cause epidemics and high-tech tools used to fight them. Sorry about it. Negotiators will resume work on the treaty in hopes of clinching a deal by the next WHO annual meeting in 2025. The Thursday events in Paris also aims to give a funding boost to Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, a public-private partnership that helps get needed vaccines to developing countries around the world. Gavi says the project aims to make up to $1 billion available over the next decade to help increase Africa's manufacturing base, to improve global vaccines markets, and improve preparedness in response to pandemics and outbreaks like HIV, malaria, tuberculosis, and COVID-19. The Geneva-based alliance says the accelerator will inject funds into manufacturers in Africa once they hit supply and regulatory milestones, with an aim to use market forces and drive down prices and encourage an investment upstream. Officials say the project will explore issues like technology transfer, which has been resisted by some Western countries with powerful pharmaceutical companies, as well as possible creation of African medicines agencies and tackling regulatory hurdles facing Africa patchwork of legal systems. Jamie Keaton reported from Geneva. Yes, Africa has a major problem with rolling out vaccines. A lot of the time there are just no vaccines from Africa. And you could see that in COVID, that the vaccines were just devoured by the rich countries. So this definitely is going to help Africa in terms of health. Hopefully it does not just stay around, rolling out vaccines, and also it will gradually help to improve the living condition in Africa to an extent. Obviously, Africa is different than Europe, especially its climate, so it might be hard to raise the living standards in Africa. However, it is definitely necessary. Otherwise, we will always get migrant or refugees going straight to the Europe to seek asylum or from either war or climate destabilization. So we got our final article. I'm gonna probably skip it. Harsh death toll tops 1,000 amid extreme heat temperatures in Mecca. Exceeds 50% degrees Celsius. I'm gonna read this. Riyadh, the death toll from this year's Hajj has exceeded 1,000, and AFP Towers said Thursday, June 18, more than half of whom were unregistered worshippers performing the pilgrimage in extreme heat in Saudi Arabia. The new deaths reported Thursday included 58 from Egypt, according to an Arab diplomat who provided a breakdown showing that of 658 Egyptians who died, 630 were unregistered pilgrims. Around 10 countries have reported 1,081 deaths during the pilgrimage, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, which all Muslims with means must complete at least once. The Hajj, whose timing is determined by the lunar Islamic calendar, fell again this year during the oven-like Saudi summer. The National Meteorological Center reported a high of 51.8 degrees Celsius this week at Grand Mosque in Mecca. A Saudi study published last month said temperatures in the area are rising 0.4 degrees each decade. Each year, tens of thousands of pilgrims try to join the Hajj through irregular channels as they cannot afford the often costly official permits. Interesting. I never studied this, so somebody would have to explain to me in the comments how the Hajj works. Because I always assume like you could always make the pilgrimage from, I'm not sure if it's like to Mecca. I'm not quite sure if it has a starting point, because I mean the holy cities, Mecca, Medina, I'm not quite sure how it works, although I would assume you start from one holy city and go to the other. But maybe somebody is going to explain it to me. Saudi authorities reported clearing hundreds of thousands of unregistered pilgrims from Mecca this month, but it appears many still participated in the main rites which began last Friday. This group was more vulnerable because without official permits, they could not access air-conditioned space provided for 1.8 million authorized pilgrims to cool down. People were tired after being chased by security forces before after a day. They were exhausted, one Arab diplomat told AFP on Thursday of Saturday's day-long outdoor prayers that marked the harsh climax. The diplomat said the main cause of death among Egyptian pilgrims was the heat, which triggered complications related to high blood pressure and other issues. Egyptian officials were visiting hospitals to obtain information and help Egyptian pilgrims get medical care, the foreign minister said in a statement on Thursday. However, there are a large number of Egyptian citizens who are not registered in Hajj databases, which requires double the effort and a longer time to search for missing persons and find their relatives, it said. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has ordered that a crisis cell headed by the Prime Minister follow up on the deaths of the country's pilgrims. Sisi stressed the need for immediate coordination with the Saudi authorities to facilitate receiving the bodies of the deceased and streamline the process, said a statement from his office. Viewers begin. More fatalities were also confirmed on Thursday by Pakistan and Indonesia. Out of around 150,000 pilgrims, Pakistan has so far recorded 58 deaths, a diplomat told AFP. I think given the number of people, given the weather, this is just natural, the diplomat said. Indonesia, which had around 240,000 pilgrims, raised the death toll to 183, its religious affairs minister said, compared with the 313 deaths recorded last year. Deaths have also been confirmed by Malaysia, India, Jordan, Iran, Senegal, Tunisia, Sudan, and Iraq's autonomous Kurdistan region. In many cases, authorities have not specified the cause. Friends and relatives have been searching for missing pilgrims, scouring hospitals and tweeting online, fearing the worst. Two diplomats told AFP Thursday that Saudi authorities have begun the burial process for dead pilgrims, cleaning the bodies and putting them in white burial clothes and taking them to be interred. The burial is done by the Saudi authorities. They have their own system, so we just follow that, said one diplomat, who said his country was working to notify loved ones as best as it could. That was my chair you just heard, sorry about that. I was just rearranging my sitting position and it made those funny noises. Apologies for that. This is not a matter anybody should be laughing about. The beard is done, yes we had. The other diplomat said that given the number of fatalities, it would be impossible to notify many families ahead of time, especially in Egypt, which accounts for so many of the deaths. Jordan's foreign minister said on Thursday that Saudi authorities had granted 68 permits for Jordanian pilgrims to be buried in Mecca. 16 Jordanians remain missing and 22 are in hospital, including 7 who are in critical condition, foreign minister said in a statement. Extreme danger. Saudi Arabia has not provided information on fatalities, though it reported more than 2,700 cases of heat exhaustion on Sunday alone. Last year, various countries reported more than 300 deaths during the Hajj, mostly Indonesians. The timing of the Hajj moves back about 11 days each year in the Gregorian calendar, meaning that next year it will take place earlier in June, potentially in cooler conditions. In 2019 study by the journal Geophysical Research was said because of the climate change, heat stress for Hajj pilgrims will exceed extreme danger threshold from 2047 to 2052 and 2079 to 2086 with increasing frequency and intensity as the century progresses. Hosting the Hajj is a source of prestige for Saudi royal family, and King Salman's official title includes the words custodian of the two holy mosques in Mecca and Medina. The Hajj had seen a number of disasters over the year, most recently in 2015 when a stampede during the stoning the Devil ritual killed up to 2,300 people. So it's AFP. So yeah, the Hajj pilgrimage is definitely a very difficult pilgrimage to make, especially because of the heat. I know you walk from one destination to the holy city. I'm not quite sure how it works. Somebody would have to explain to me that in the comments. Oh yeah, it puts a physical stress on your body, and the heat puts another layer of stress on you, and you should always have to think about it before you actually go on the pilgrimage and make sufficient preparations so nothing bad happens to you. So I mean, yeah, if you consider doing this pilgrimage, prepare yourself, and yeah, don't go and just eat like on light food. Be prepared. Be sufficiently prepared with sources of water and other cooling sources, so you don't actually get heat stroke or anything like that. And we made it to the end of the article, the end of the news. So we're gonna head straight into the Twitter bazaar, and afterwards we're gonna cut this stream. We're gonna end it. I haven't been playing any Dark Souls recently. That's not because I do not want to play it. It's because of the Euros. I want to watch football. I hope if you understand that. The Euros are very exciting this year. So yeah, moving on. Let's head straight into the Twitter bazaar. How long have we been streaming? I think 2 hours. Almost 3 hours actually, so that's pretty good. But we don't have any gaming news today, unfortunately. I was too lazy to change the title, but I mean, I'm sure you understand. There have been no news about the new Elden Ring DLC, and I just don't want to repeat myself that much. In the gaming world, in the politics world, it is necessary you repeat yourself, and it is necessary that you be consistent. Anyways, moving on. Elon Musk, this platform is #1 source of news in the world. I'm not going to play the video because you will not hear it, and there's not really anything interesting. You would only see him opening his mouth, which is not really anything interesting. #1 source of the news in the world. Yes, that kind of explains why this world is so fucked. That's not an achievement you should be celebrating, because I mean, if you spend any time on Twitter, you know just how degenerate this site is, and pretty much any social site in general. You should not be getting your news from this site. You should get your news from Bowit news sources, or go to ground news. That you will also learn things you probably didn't know about. So, I mean, yeah. But as a #1 source of news in the world, well, I'm definitely disappointed by the humanity. Unfortunately, to get your account authenticated on X, you need to send pictures of your ID, phone name, host address, home address, height, eye, hair color, plus a selfie to AuthentiX. This Israel intelligence company is connected to Netanyahu-linked Likud party and is pushing for global digital ID. Interesting. That is a very interesting comment. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but I'm definitely against any sort of global digital ID. I'm very much against digital IDs in general. I mean, we are at the age of AI, right? So something like digital ID is better than just physical ID, period. And if you lose it, then you report it to your local authorities and get a new one. Maybe you're gonna pay some fine for losing it, but that's what it is. You lose it, you're probably gonna pay some money, unless you are renewing it, obviously. I'm once again asking you to stop trying to send our data to Israel for Twitter verification. I see. Interesting. Okay, is there a CHAQ to help mask better bots on Twitter? Interesting. That's very interesting, actually. But this is very interesting. I did not read any comments, so I did not know about any of these allegations. It's possible. He is very rich. I would not be surprised. So moving on, I'm not going to play the video because you will not hear it on the video anyways. On if I make this into Twitter Bizarre video, I do not make Twitter Bizarre videos from every stream. Only if we have something very spicy here. So we got Xbox UK. Sorry to have remind you like this. What feels like 10 years ago? Yes, the I don't know what Halo this is. And Call of Duty for Modern Warfare. What actually is 10 years ago? Yes. Yes, some time has passed already. This is like 16 years ago now. I'm not sure how good or bad was Advanced Warfare. I know people give it a lot of shit, especially on the trailer. However, gameplay-wise, I'm not quite sure how bad it was. I mean, it probably was pretty mad because Call of Duty's pretty made after the Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare, and since Modern Warfare 3 ended, even the Modern Warfare 3 was probably a little bit of kind of down on the overall quality of the franchise, but it still was pretty good game. A good ending to the Makarov trilogy. So yeah. Respectful. Stop that right now. Who are you? Content creator for question mark business something email something.com daily streams. Okay, pronouns. Okay. No, Xbox 360 was yesterday. Okay, oh, so it's just people like. Okay, people are just. Cringe. Cringe, very cringe. Sorry for causing you seizure if I did that accidentally, but no, very cringe. I am really confused. They are criticizing the DLC for not having prayer messages when they are on a week of before release. Therefore, they are Richard no prayers to place them down. Oh yes, so the Eurogamer has apparently criticized the Elden Ring for not having prayer messages. And they sort of did not realize they were having an early access to, so there were no players to praise those messages in the first place. Yes, gaming journalists. Yes, journalists. In nutshell, or journalists, but I did not put it there. It would have been too disrespectful, but it would have been too. So yeah, gaming journalists once again proving why you should not be listening to them, why you should be playing the games yourself and forming your own opinion. And next up we got Nicola Ironside. Imagine the uproar if there was 2 men at women's football game with signs like this. Not to mention the amounts of kids that would be around too. Who else is sick to death of seeing these two? Oh yes, those I already made a video about them earlier. So yeah, Bukayo Saka Kupai, what the fuck is this? Cole Palmer eat, Cole Palmer eat my ass. Yep, so you probably saw them breaking baguettes in front of French. Allegedly they did that. They broke like hot dogs in front of Germans, the Wurstbrat, or how it's called. Yes, very adroit thing to do. I mean, they are English, so yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. And yes, they are OnlyFans, obviously. So yeah, this is an attention grab. Good. But this is very silly thing to say. Oh yeah, if there was two men, well, they weren't any two men. So what? Why do you even say this? If if this if that, it didn't happen. So this is pointless thing to say. This comment is absolutely pointless because if there was two men, well, there weren't any two men doing this, so obviously, yes, they would get a lot of shit from saying like, I forgot her name. I forgot the name of the blonde footballer with that great booty. Oh yes, Alicia Lemon. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously, if somebody made a sign with like, hmm, okay, I'm not feeling. I don't know. I don't know. You probably can think of some sort of sign that would be very naughty, something like this. But I cannot think of anything actually, and yes, I feel it, and I'm saying it for you. Like I'm not saying it just because I don't want to say anything weird. I actually cannot think of anything, so you have to be creative for once. So yeah, so obviously if somebody made it on Alicia Lemon, the internet would definitely have a different opinion. However, the people in the mainstream media would definitely they would denounce it very quickly and very hard. So yeah. So yeah, these two bimbos are still doing their shit and still are very annoying. So yeah, they won't make it into the another video. I won't make a video out of this, I promise. Okay, I'm gonna maybe make a video out of this. Fuck my ass. So anime versus manga. Both of these are pretty shit. This is shit. And this is also bullshit. I mean, both of them are complete shit. The ending to the Zero Mortis Plant saga or the arc was extremely disappointing. In manga, it was going pretty good until the ending came and it just destroyed the whole arc. Before that, it was okay. Afterwards, this got very weird. It got very weird. I'm not gonna say it got bad. However, I just feel weird about this. I don't really know what to think about this. I do not like it. That's for sure. But on the other way, I mean, I do not entirely dislike it. I just don't know what to feel about it. I just don't know. This is just bullshit. I mean, on the one hand, it looks very scary, very dystopian. On the other hand, it looks boring and uninspired, especially considering what was before, just all sorts of Deus Ex Machina stuff that happened in the arc. You probably saw it, so you know. So if I had to choose, I'm gonna go with manga. And for this, even for this specific scene. And last up, we got Bricks news. Yeah, sure. Oh yeah, actually, but I already showed you this, so there's no need for me to play it again, because I'm gonna play it again. I'm gonna do it actually. You can watch it while I'm gonna talk about something. So I already gonna show this on my other article I was reading, so I'm gonna make a video out of this. Therefore, I'm not going to make video out of Twitter Bizarre this time. However, yep. This is I mean, yeah, when was the last time you were waving like this on your friends or family, huh? Huh? You asocial worm. But yeah, I mean, this is a very cute moment. So yeah. Yep, and this was it. This is everything we had for today. I'm gonna go back to watching football, and I'm gonna upload some more videos tomorrow because I've already ran out of content. I have like 6 or 7 videos from the last stream, so we're gonna have some content for a bit. And tomorrow is, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow is Saturday, so I'm not going to be streaming for 2 days. I'm not streaming on weekends, but I'll be streaming on Monday and hopefully the entire week. I just have to get my streaming schedule correct. So this was it. Hope you enjoyed. We were streaming for about 3 hours, a little bit over 3 hours, under 3 hours if we count out the pauses. Decent stream, I'm pleased. I think it was good stream, quite energetic. I was thinking, okay, with exception of that one time when we were talking about the heart health. Afterwards, I was feeling very exhausted, but I just laid down for a bit and I was thinking, okay, afterwards. So yeah, hope you enjoyed and have a good day. Peace out.